one. But there's those things that we have in our mind, right? Our worship is when the enemy try to steal. When you're going through so much, the first thing you don't want to do is lift up your hands. You don't want to tell God, I still thank you. When they dismiss you from a job or the finance is not coming in, you can still say, God, I thank you. And you don't understand why you have to say it. But our worship is connected to our identity because we're totally connected to God and taking dominion. We have the dominion. He came for everything. He definitely came for our relationship with God. So each chapter that we have dived in reminds us that sin doesn't simply affect one moment. No, it don't affect one moment. It creates that ripple effect, Meek, you put in the chat. The bloodline was affected, right? Yet every darkness increased. God introduced hope. And every time man fails in the Bible, God makes another move. He lets the enemy know it's not over. So we're seeing that's what exposure is. Exposure is the first step to healing. God is not intimidated by our weakness. He actually invites it. It's nothing more humbling. And even when I read throughout the whole Bible, you will wonder how the Israelites can turn their back on God and then they'll go and ask God for forgiveness and he'll give mercy. God is not intimidated by our weakness. He doesn't act like us. Now, maybe in our mind, we're like, now look at you, you're going through something. That's why you want prayer. Or you're going through something. That's why you're showing up for church. That's what man would say. But God invites it because now that is where we are noticing. You can't do this in your own strength. You can't raise them kids by yourself. You can go through life single and still think that you could be holy because there's a world that speaks against being single, saying you only live once, which is a lie because the Bible said if you live right, you'll live to live again. Now, the unrighteous, those who go against God's will, it's for them because they don't live again. But for those who confess Christ and our lives are fully surrendered to him, it makes sense for us. God is not intimidated by our weakness. He definitely invites it. God stands on his word. His word is true. His promises are true. His nature is unchanging. And whatever he says, he fulfills. So no pretending of the strength. Pray honest. God don't want to hear our wonderful words that sound so decent. He don't want to hear that. He want to hear a true, honest heart. He wants to hear you say, I'm afraid. God, I don't know how this is going to work out. I am nervous. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I'm tired of doing this. Whatever it is, he wants to hear honestly because therefore that he can deal with that. But if we pretend, then we're not being honest with ourselves, not being open and honest with God, even though he said he knows our thoughts from afar. He knows when we rise up and when we sit down. We're not keeping anything from him, but we're not keeping an open relationship. Therefore, we don't get to know him in all of his glory.